Well, excuse me, the question that I received today is, what would happen if Israel lost the war? This is a scary question, really, and it really depends on what type of war we're talking about. If we were talking in 1948 and 1967 and 1973, when the Arab armies that surrounded us, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, or Iraq, were these strong armies that posed an existential threat, meaning that they could really destroy the state of Israel, then what would happen is if we lost any of those wars, that would have been the end of Israel. There would not have been any Israel. And thank God, God protected us, and that didn't happen. Our army was strong enough, and we brushed off our enemies at that time. Today we have peace with Egypt, we have peace with Jordan. Syria is a mess, it doesn't pose much of a threat. Lebanon, the people are starving in the streets, Hezbollah is in charge. There's no real threat coming from Lebanon. So we don't really have armies of the caliber that we used to that surrounded us. So Israel really isn't posed with such an existential threat. There are people that say that we lost the second Lebanon war in the mid 2000s, and that was more egg in our face than anything else because again they didn't pose an existential threat. Today, Iran is trying to develop a nuclear weapon. If they would develop a nuclear weapon and use it against us and we would lose that war, that would be an existential threat. That would be the end of Israel as we know it, which is why we put so much effort into making sure that Iran does not acquire a nuclear weapon, because today it really poses, in potential, the only existential threat against the state of Israel. Shalom.